I never believed in haunted objects. Ghosts, maybe. Old houses with lingering presences, sure. But not objects. Not something as simple and ordinary as a carved pumpkin. That changed last Halloween. It was late October when I finally decided to decorate my porch. I'd been busy with work, exhausted, and honestly too distracted to care about pumpkins and fake spiderwebs. But my neighborhood was one of those where everyone went all out. Rows of orange lights, inflatables, skeletons posed in lawn chairs. Kids would stream down the sidewalks on Halloween night, and I didn't want to be the one dark house on the block. So, on the afternoon of October 30th, I drove to a little roadside stand just outside of town. The air was sharp with that autumn bite, cold, dry, with the faint smell of wood smoke drifting from chimneys. Pumpkins lined the roadside, their skins glossy and orange, some massive, some small and squat. I was about to pick one when an older man behind the stand called out to me. "Looking for something special?" His voice rasped, low and gravelly, and I remember how his eyes seemed pale, almost clouded, though he didn't look blind. I shrugged. "Just a pumpkin." He gestured toward the far corner of the stand, where a few pumpkins sat apart from the rest. "That one," he said. "That one will do." I followed his hand. There, half hidden in shadow, was a pumpkin larger than the rest. Its skin wasn't the bright orange of the others. It was duller, almost brownish, with faint green veins running across its surface like mottled bruises. For reasons I couldn't explain, I felt uneasy just looking at it. I almost laughed at myself. It was just a pumpkin. I picked it up. It was heavier than it looked, oddly cold to the touch, and carried it to my car. When I glanced back, the old man was still watching me, not smiling, just watching. At home that night, I carved it. I thought maybe I could turn it into something cheerful, give it a goofy smile, maybe make it less unsettling. But as I cut into its skin, I noticed the flesh inside was darker than usual, tinged almost gray instead of yellow-orange. It smelled faintly sour, like damp earth. I hesitated, knife in hand. Then I reminded myself, it's just a pumpkin. I carved a face. Not the one I planned, though. My hands didn't seem to cooperate. The knife tugged one way, then another, and by the time I finished, the face was nothing like I'd intended. The eyes came out too wide, uneven, slanted in a way that looked hungry. The nose was crooked, jagged, and the mouth, God, the mouth, ended up stretched unnaturally, a wide crescent filled with too many sharp-looking teeth. I hadn't meant to carve teeth, but there they were. When I lit the candle inside and stepped back, the face seemed alive. Shadows made the grin twitch and shift, as if it were about to speak. I shivered. For the first time since I was a kid, a jack-o'-lantern made me uneasy. That night, I set it on the porch and went to bed. Sometime after midnight, I woke up thirsty and went to the kitchen for water. Passing the front window, I glanced outside. The jack-o'-lantern was still burning, but the candle, I could swear it flickered brighter when I looked at it. Its wide eyes seemed fixed on me, even though I was inside, behind glass. I froze, water glass in hand, staring at it. Then, as if on cue, the candlelight dimmed, pulsed, and flared again, like the pumpkin was breathing, watching. I told myself I was tired, that the shadows were playing tricks. I forced myself back to bed, but I didn't sleep well. The next evening, Halloween, I sat on the porch handing out candy. Kids came in groups, laughing, their costumes swishing against the pavement. Every so often, one of them would pause, point to my jack-o'-lantern, and whisper. Some of them refused to get too close. A little girl dressed as a witch burst into tears when her mother urged her forward. "Don't like that face," she sobbed. I felt embarrassed. "It's just a pumpkin," I told her mom, who smiled politely but tugged her daughter away quickly. Later, when the flow of trick-or-treaters thinned, I noticed something odd. The pumpkin's grin looked wider, its eyes sharper. I leaned closer, squinting. No, it was the same as before. The same cuts, the same jagged grin. And yet, in the shifting candlelight, it looked different, like the face had shifted, just slightly. I blew out the candle before I went inside that night. That should have been the end of it. But I woke up at 3 a.m. to a sound, a soft thump, then another, like something heavy being set down on the porch. I sat up in bed, heart pounding, straining to listen. The house was silent, except for the occasional creak of wood in the cold. But then, scrape, thump. I crept to the front window and pulled the curtain aside. The jack-o'-lantern was lit again. The candle inside burned high, almost white, though I knew I had snuffed it out. Its grin stretched wide, its eyes blazing, and I swear, I saw the thing move. Not a trick of the flame, not shadows. The pumpkin itself tilted, just slightly, as if it had turned its face toward me. I stumbled back from the window, nearly dropping the curtain. My throat went dry. I didn't go outside. I didn't open the door. I went back to bed, pulling the covers over my head like a child, heart hammering until dawn. The next morning, I decided I'd had enough. I grabbed the pumpkin, carried it out to the garbage bin at the curb, and heaved it in. I didn't care if it rotted there. I didn't care what the neighbors thought. I just wanted it gone. That evening I came home from work to find the pumpkin back on my porch, literally, grinning, its wide, hungry eyes staring right at my front door. I froze on the sidewalk, groceries slipping in my arms. My heart pounded so hard I thought I'd collapse right there. There was no way. No one had put it there. No prankster kid could have known I'd thrown it out. It had come back. That night, I didn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I imagined that jagged mouth whispering in the dark, those eyes glowing in the corner of my bedroom. At 2 a.m., I heard footsteps on the porch, slow, deliberate, heavy. I forced myself to stay in bed, but I couldn't resist looking. Through the narrow crack of the curtain, I saw it. The pumpkin. Only it wasn't sitting still anymore. It was at the top step, closer to the door than before. I blinked, rubbed my eyes. When I looked again, it was closer still. The candle burned brighter, white-hot, filling the carved face with a terrible, hungry light. And then, I swear I heard it. A low whisper, muffled, like words echoing through hollow flesh. My name. By dawn, it was back in its place on the porch, unmoving, cold. I didn't know what to do. Smashing it seemed dangerous. Burning it, would that even work? That evening, as the sun went down, I heard scratching at the door. Not from outside, from inside the walls. I backed away, clutching a kitchen knife, staring at the door as if it would burst open. The scratching grew louder, more insistent. When I dared to peek out the window, the pumpkin was gone. Gone. Until I turned and saw it. Sitting in the corner of my living room, literally. Grinning. Watching me. I dropped the knife. My breath caught in my throat. Its mouth seemed to move. Slowly, carefully, its jagged teeth shifted. And in a voice like dry leaves scraping together, it whispered again. My name. And then, the candle inside flared so bright it filled the whole room with blinding light. That's where my memory ends. When I woke, it was morning. My living room was empty. No pumpkin, no scorch marks, no evidence. But I know what I saw. I've left my porch bare ever since. No pumpkins, no decorations, nothing. Because sometimes, on cold October nights, I still catch a faint glow at the end of my driveway. And when I dare to look too long, I see a wide, jagged grin. Watching. Always watching.